I asked for your most expensive. It's in numbers. Which number is higher? Oh, the tomahawk. Then why are you fucking talking about a ribeye? You dumb bitch. Of course I don't say it like that. I say, ha 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 ha, I'll take the tomahawk, please, because I'm a polite man.
Demeanor, a person's outward behavior and mannerism towards others. This is the single most important thing to manage when dating as a man. And if you don't believe me, then demeanor. But how does one demeanor? Well, to answer that, we're gonna take a look at a character called Levi Ackerman because he's 5'3", so it allows me to do this shameless plugin. Seriously, go watch that video, I put a lot of work into it. To start our analysis on Levi's demeanor, we need to understand Levi's backstory. Born into poverty as a result of prostitution, only to be greeted by the death of his mother and the destiny to be a 5'3", 30-year-old man, Levi truly had nothing. Except his uncle Kenny, who totally didn't go to buy milk only to not return. Haha, that would be not good. From Kenny, Levi would learn how to 1. Cut, 2. Stomp, 3. Demeanor, and 4. Punch. These skills would land Levi a spot in an underground gang where he would make some friends. And if you thought he wouldn't lose them too, you don't know Attack on Titans. Through a series of events I can only describe as getting Irwined, a commander by the name of Irwin knew that Levi and gang had a plan to kill him and steal some documentations. Because Irwin was able to foretell this, Because Irwin could foretell this, the plan to kill him would fail and he would send the documentation off with somebody else, and Levi had realized that the plan was going to fail before it began. After realizing that his friends are side characters and that the plot was definitely not on their side, Levi would fall into full mental breakdown mode. Irwin would then reach out his hand and impart some words of wisdom to him.
The real treasure was the friends. I mean, don't regret your choices, or soon you won't be able to make any of your own.
Obviously, if you're a leader in a group, you have the power to make choices, and with that power comes responsibility and thus a vulnerability to guilt. Suffering enough of this guilt can make someone no longer want to be a leader, as there will be too much regret, paralyzing you and making you incapable of making your own decisions. Levi would take this advice to heart, allowing him to project a calm, sure, and decisive mannerism, aka a stoic demeanor. This stoic demeanor combined with Levi's physique as a soldier makes him a chick magnet. But what about his looks? His hair looks so good! I already knew that once my totally not W-word argument would prove height was less important than demeanor, that the next runner-up would of course be looks. Before I continue though, I would like to draw your attention to a study conducted by the Journal of Evolutionary Medicine. The question of what women want in a partner, both short-term and long-term, was asked. For short-term partners, women just wanted a man to have a mesomorphic body, but for longer-term partners, it was preferred that he also had a stoic personality. The study defines stoic as ignoring health problems. So fast forwarding in Attack on Titans, Levi would meet Eren, and he would introduce Eren to his new friends, Levi Squad number 2. Now, if you think Levi Squad 2's fate will be any different from Levi Squad's 1 fate, need I remind you, this is Attack on Titans. So after Levi Squad number 2 gets redirected to Annie's Feet Finder account, Eren turns into a Titan and begins to fight Annie and... Wait, I skipped something. So before all that, Levi, his squad, and Eren were running from Annie as she killed many of their comrades, and this bothered Eren. So Eren was gonna make a great decision to turn around, turn into a Titan, and fight her himself. But then Petra stops him, the only part of Levi's squad we care about. Following this, 4 full-grown men and Petra scolding Eren about his decision. However, Levi doesn't. Levi instead imparts those magic words.
Hey, buddy, you make that choice, let's turn into a Titan, I'm gonna fucking kill you. So whatever you do, just don't regret.
So Eren took this as there are no wrong answers, but wrong answers was all there was. So we obviously know what happens to Levi Squad number 2, they all die. But how does Eren and Levi take this? Eric is a quixotic young man, very idealistic, but unfortunately reality did not match his ideals in any form or fashion, so he reacted very neurotically. Levi, on the other hand, responded in a very stoic manner, and I want to address something about how stoicism is defined in the study I mentioned earlier. Stoics do not ignore problems, they simply refuse to respond to a problem with unhelpful actions or feelings such as screaming or regretting. Levi is a perfect example of this. He clearly cares. This was shown multiple times after he finds out that the Titans might have been humans. Levi laments at the idea that this entire time he's probably been killing people. Levi will not regret his decisions because he knows it will not do anything and he cannot change the past. So another fun fact is that according to neurologists, having close body language like Levi would actually make a man appear less attractive and less approachable. However, due to Levi's stoic demeanor, it completely overrides this, making him still attractive to most women. Let's get back to Eren. Can Demeanor fix Eren? Later, Eren gains an ability called Spoiler Alert, which allows him to see the future.
Well, we're fucked.
Or project the future to the past, I don't know, but just know his ability makes him more sure of his decisions going forward. Fuck time powers! At this point in the show, if you ask most female fans, they'll go on about how attractive Eren is. If you ask most male fans, well... But what about his looks? Eren's so attractive! I hear you, so you can untype your fuck. For that, let's take a look at the last few panels of Eren in the series. There's no physical change except his demeanor. He's crying like a little baby over a girl after he wiped out 80% of humanity. This man really killed 80% of humanity and he's just crying like a... Anyways, it's clear that demeanor can make a man look attractive or unattractive to the most drastic ends of the spectrum, even if he's just a fictional character. Wait, this isn't real. I'm not real. I was human, but I am Bugman. But if I'm Bugman, then my demeanor is Bugman. You see, an experiment was conducted where they had a bunch of disgusting male roaches and they paired them off and allowed them to interact until the roaches would self-organize into two roles, dominants and subordinates. If you don't know what that means, then you're a really misinformed individual, so allow me to teach you. The roaches organize themselves into winners, dominants, and losers, subordinates. The dominants would go on to have a much higher chance of winning social competitions going forward, while the subordinates not so much. In fact, the subordinates would go on to even take L's from their own nature. Due to these things called juvenile hormones, the physiology of the Blade would change based on if they won or lost, making the dominants more dominant and the subordinates literally infertile. So humans are basically bigger Bugmen. Things like avoiding conflict will cause a human to go through a chemical balance shift, lowering things like serotonin, making them more prone to things such as depression. What does this have to do with demeanor? Well, demeanor is affected by your position in life, and this Bugman story is just one example of how that can happen. In other words, demeanor is very hard to fake, and in some cases, impossible. Now, I know some of you overthinkers are probably punching yourself in the head saying something along the lines of, well, I'll never be the strongest or the smartest, so eventually I'll just become a subpar Bugman, no matter how hard I try. Well, it is true, you can't be the strongest or smartest person in the world, you can be the smartest or strongest person in the room, most of the time. And really, that's all that matters, because none of us will be perfect Bugmen. And remember, practice does make perfect. Shut up, past me from a video called Eye Contact Secrets that you should totally check out after you watch this video. Even if you're not the person who's the most appealing in the room, you can still be amongst the top 3, 4, or 5 most appealing people in the room. But how do you go about doing that? Well, for that, I'm gonna skip the whole just be confident spew because that's dumb. Why is that dumb? Well, because confidence without competence is what we call the Dunning-Kruger effect, so for our purposes, we're gonna preach competence instead. The most direct way for a man to build competence is through exercise and diet. Fun fact, there's actually research showing that the chemicals released in your sweat can affect how attractive you are to women because it's a subconscious indicator that you either have good genes, you're healthy, or both. The study did also show that women had a preference for men with different genes because it reduced the chances of inbreeding, increasing the chances of offspring success. So this can also explain why useless things such as having blue eyes, which literally makes you more susceptible to light damage, is found to be attractive simply because of their rarity. The main thing to keep in mind here is that attraction in women is driven by a subconscious biological desire to see her offspring survive, which is influenced by genes, physical capability, and neuroticism of her partner. So take that, Mr. Arkin Farkin. It's not BS or narcissism. Back to exercise and diet. I do plan on doing a simplified yet in-depth video on this, so I'll give you the shortened version of it. Exercise intensely for at least 5 minutes a day, 3 times a week, focusing on chest, shoulders, back, and core, and your posture will naturally develop a better form. Also, just practice posture. As for diet, eat high protein and low fat foods. This means vegetables are bad. Yeah, so when you do this, instead of looking at the flat number of fat and protein, find the percentage and make sure that it's no more than 30% fat. And if you can't do this on your own, I'll have some equations on the screen. The next thing that directly affects your position in a social environment is gonna be your wittiness.
Take one step on that rope and I'll cut it.
To improve this, just practice friendly banter amongst your friends and really try to embarrass each other so that you can practice being witty in high-pressured situations. This will improve your confidence when talking to women because you'll be able to provoke her into talking and make her laugh. You also have more confidence in knowing that you can easily outwit any guy that might try to steal a girl from you by embarrassing you. The final and most important thing to improving your position in a social environment is having a strong friend group. Hold on. That ain't right. Much better. If you're the weakest in a group where the average is an Olympic level, then you're still pro athlete level. And this goes for everything. One of my friends is super witty and always embarrasses the fuck out of me, but when he's not around, it's easy to outwit most other men, especially when I'm used to this guy coming up with 9,000 zingers a minute. Once you build confidence, you'll have the responsibility of being a capable person, and this in turn may make you feel responsible for other less capable men. Don't. Their incompetence is not your fault. Do not lower yourself and what you have worked for the sake of others, especially when they didn't work for it. You can be kind, but that doesn't mean that you have to give them a win at your expense. Over time, you'll find yourself winning more and more social contests due to the winner's effect, and you'll be even more confident. That is all for my guide on demeanor. It will take lots of time and effort to work on things such as your wittiness, but remember, practice does make perfect, so until next time, peace.